Right, today the MTA is facing a new obstacle as it tries to start congestion pricing tolling right here in Manhattan. A new bipartisan bill is being introduced in Congress that aims to put a roadblock in the plan to charge you up to $15 every time you drive into, well, the busiest parts of Manhattan.
Yeah, that bill is being introduced by Bergen County Congressman Gottheimer, who joins us right now on Good Day New York with all the details. Congressman Gottheimer, thanks for being here in person. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
All right, first of all, what is the bill that you're proposing? You're going to announce it later on today, and you say it's bipartisan. Who's the co-sponsor?
So Congresswoman Nicole Maliotakis from Staten Island and I are introducing legislation which says pretty clearly it will be against the law to introduce congestion tax and to have a congestion tax in this area. So completely prevents it. Listen, we have tried literally everything to get through to the MTA, to get through to John L. Lieber in New York and say, this is completely outrageous for hardworking families. You can't stick people with a new $15 a day congestion tax, plus what they want to do with surge pricing of 25% whenever they want. You're talking about $4,000 a year extra new tax on hardworking families, on nurses and electricians, and sticking it to restaurants and to people here who are just trying to make ends meet and get people to come back to New York. It's just not right, and we've said all along, people pay enough to go over these bridges and tunnels. You can't stick them with another tax.
Let me play devil's advocate here, because if you get this law passed, it's going to be a lawsuit. You know that, obviously. So if you go to court, lawyers say, okay, what federal jurisdiction do you have over a state and county agency to make this law?
Well, sure. Well, the MTA gets billions of dollars every year from the federal government. In fact, in the most recent budget, they're going to get more than $2 billion, right? So that's direct money from the federal government. Listen, if they want to say, hey, we don't ever want to take a nickel again from the federal government, right? They got $15 billion during the pandemic, blew it all, right? Like have blown every single nickel they've been given into some sort of black hole. They throw it down. I have no idea what they do with all this money. We know they lost $700 million to fare skippers last year. They blew an extra $1 billion on the new 2nd Avenue subway stop they built. They made it too big by accident. I don't know if you heard about that. They got the design wrong, right? So everything the MTA does and John L. Lieber does that he touches falls apart. So I don't understand why I would give more money to the MTA for them to throw out and take it out of the pockets of hardworking families.
All right, this is what I got to ask, because Governor Murphy was kind of happy when John L. Lieber said, hey, you know what, we're going to cut New Jersey in on this. We're going to give you a little extra money from whatever money we make. And then I'm thinking, okay, New Jersey's going to pull out of this lawsuit to stop congestion pricing.
Well, I spoke to the governor yesterday, Governor Murphy yesterday. Not at all what I'm hearing. They've given these crumbs that supposedly they're throwing at Jersey on the side. We don't know any specifics about it. And what's worse about this whole thing is they think they can just buy us off with a few crumbs. What are they going to do for the actual families and the commuters and the hardworking people who have to pay out of their pockets? My feeling is if you actually look at the math on this, and we've done a full study on this in my office, right? They're going to raise far more than the $1 billion the law in New York requires them to raise. We think somewhere in the line of $3.5 billion, meaning they don't have to charge anybody coming in from Jersey at all a congestion tax, and they will make plenty of money on their proposal. So what I keep saying to John L. Lieber is, show us the math of what the number is. How much are you raising? Stop with this claim of crumbs you're going to throw to Jersey. Take care of the hardworking families who would have to pay this money, right? Take care of and then look at New York. Take care of the restaurant owners and Broadway and everybody else who rely on the jobs that New York supposedly wants to get people to come back to New York.
Right.
This is no way to get people to come back.
So, Congressman, you know, the other thing is that there are a lot of lawsuits right now pending, right? Staten Island has one. Lower Manhattan has another one. They're all kind of saying the same thing, that a full impact study was not done.
That's correct. Right, so the New Jersey one, and they already went before the court, waiting on a ruling, which we should get hopefully before June when this is supposed to go into effect, says instead of the Cliff Notes version of studying the impact, the cancer-causing impact of the pollution and all the trucks backed up in New Jersey and the outer boroughs, the effects on traffic patterns in the area, they did a very quick little study instead of actually doing a full in-depth study. What we're asking for is study this properly. Look at the impact it's going to have on families, on children, all the pollution that's going to plume out into the skies, and look at the effect on that. That's what every lawsuit is asking for. And I think the courts are being incredibly sympathetic in these hearings.
You know, obviously you're here with us today on Good Day New York. We appreciate you being here. You're in town for a couple of days. You were up at Columbia the other day and got a chance to see the protests firsthand. We saw and heard about what happened today. You know, there was a deadline. They extended it. They're talking a little bit more. First of all, your reaction based off of what you saw in person and what's going on right now with the negotiations between the president and the students.
I mean, it's outrageous. I was with students, Jewish students. We visited Hillel and then went and walked on campus and saw the encampments. And you see the signs being held up. You hear the stories and have read about the accounts of screaming, the shoving, the punches, the anti-Semitic rhetoric being screamed, saying the pro-Hamas rhetoric, saying this should happen 10,000 more times, right? And it's hard to believe, and it's not the kind of civil discourse engagement you should have on a college campus. People can disagree, but you do it in a constructive way.
Do you think it's all
That's
students?
what college campuses are doing. Well, my understanding is there's plenty of people who aren't students in that encampment that's right outside of the library, intimidating students from going to the library and from going on campus.
Well, let me ask you something. I mean, do you think the president of Columbia University is going to survive this? I mean, she's moved the deadline, negotiating
She was in Congress last week, as you probably know, right?
Yes.
And
you slammed her after that, right?
Talked a big game,
Yeah.
right? And talked about standing up to anti-Semitism. And now it's time for her to act. And I think, listen, it'll be up to the trustees to make the decision about her. But I think now is the moment. I said this yesterday.
Not 48 hours from now?
I think now is the moment. I think the clock is ticking big time. She must act. You have to remove these encampments. You have to actually punish those who've screamed out anti-Semitic things and hate, and actually encourage, for all students, a place where they can go and study and actually have civil discourse. On all of our college campuses, that should be the case.
All right.
This is unacceptable.
Before you go, TikTok
Yes.
ban. I know they're voting in Congress. Is this going to be it?
And so as of last night,
Right.
it's now passed out of the House, passed out of the Senate. It's a bill that I helped write. It's now, once it gets to the president's desk, I think today, it'll be the law of the land, and says that it forces a sale in the next year of TikTok to a non-enemy state actor, and if they refuse to sell it, then it will be shut down in a year.
Can you explain to people why that's important? Because the data's there no matter who owns it.
Yes, but the bottom line is right now what's happening is that our number one adversary, the government of China, has control over TikTok. And they're literally, and the 150 million plus Americans who use it all the time, they're sucking all the data from everyone's phone. You agree to it when you download it, anything that happens on your device. And what's worse is the dis and misinformation China's pushing out against our country on TikTok, right? It's literally giving your number one enemy full access to messaging for the entire country.
All right, but what's Senator Cory Booker going to do? He has a TikTok account.
Well, a lot of people have TikTok accounts.
A lot of people have TikTok accounts.
Yeah.
But listen, if they sell it to an American company, to a European company, fine, go ahead. Dance all you want, throw in whatever you want. That's not the issue. The issue is for me, is actually allowing our number one enemy to have all this information on every American and being able to push out anti-American rhetoric, anti-Semitic rhetoric, all the stuff they've been pushing out on the site, which is completely and totally unacceptable.
All right, listen, it's great to have you here.
Yes.
Thanks for having me.
Before you announce your run for governor of New Jersey.
I'm running
What
for
do you
Congress.
think?
I'm running for Congress in 24.
Okay.
But I've been flattered by people asking me. So if you want to, push for it, that's up to you.
So what do you think?
Well, I'm looking at it strongly. But right now, I'm very focused on making sure we do everything we can to help the people in New Jersey's 5th District and fighting for them and stopping this congestion tax.
That's not a no. I didn't
That's
hear
why
no.
we got to stop the congestion
I didn't
tax.
hear the word no. That's all I'm saying. All right. Thank you for being here in person.
Great
We
to see
appreciate
you
it.
guys. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thank you.